Hey Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How you do?
I'm great. Now, I saw you over the weekend talking to Kevin Smith just for a very short few minutes, but I'm wondering, is he bringing you back for Moose Jaws?
God, I hope so. I haven't heard anything yet, and we had a really great time on Yoga Hosers, and I'm a big fan of him and his daughter and his wife, and we're all kind of like close, and so they definitely talked about bringing me back for something. I don't know about Moose Jaws, though. I would love to. I think it's the coolest idea. It's going to be the greatest wrap-up for his little trilogy that he's doing, so I'm really excited for it. Even if I'm not in it, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, too, because it sounds like a crazy movie.
It sounds
love
insane.
Okay.
I can't wait for it.
Now, over the weekend, the four words I heard the most is that Teen Wolf in its final 10 episodes is going back to its roots. And I want to know for you, what exactly does that mean, and why do you think that's important for the fans?
I think it's important for the fans and also just for the show in general and for us. The first season, I think, was one of the greatest seasons that we ever did. Partly because it was so simple, in the fact that it was basically just about a kid who became a werewolf and there were hunters. There were two entities, two forces, and they didn't like each other and they were trying to, kill each other essentially. And then we kind of got a little confusing with we just tried to experiment with as much mythology as we could. We went to the most crazy lengths that we could and just kind of experimented with anything. And it got a little confusing and grand and vast and very big, and our universe became very large. But this last season, we're going back to werewolves versus hunters, and the simplicity of that leaves it open to do a lot more things, whether it's building relationships, friendships, having relatable things happen to our characters, and you just get to kind of see a lot more of Beacon Hills than you would have in these other seasons, because in this season kind of less is more in that way, and I'm really happy that we're kind of taking it back to just werewolves versus hunters, the very basic, the beginning of our show. I think it's a great way to wrap it up. I think it's perfect.
Well, and it's interesting to me is that the show is aiming you guys towards college, and there's a lot of feelings and emotions that people in their senior year have with going to college and leaving high school. And I'm wondering, are you working some of those feelings and emotions into some of the characters in ways that maybe fans won't realize right on the surface, that kind of eats into what you guys are trying to do with these last 10 episodes and kind of present that experience but in a different way with these kinds of characters and monsters?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we kind of started teasing the idea that we were going to leave Beacon Hills last season, and so we were kind of teasing it. My character kind of has this protege that he turned into a werewolf and has been kind of getting him ready for when my character takes off. He's like the Morpheus of the Neo, and he's basically saying, look, I'm going to be taking off out of town soon. I'm leaving Beacon Hills. You're going to have to stay around and be the alpha. You're going to have to take care of everything. So there's definitely this sense of sadness of leaving Beacon Hills and nostalgia also. And we do tease it a lot more this season, but it kind of goes away kind of quickly because the idea of going to college gets trumped by trying to stay alive and protecting Beacon Hills and your friends and family. So they're definitely sad and excited to move away, and there's this tension in the air. We do play a lot to that because we do try to keep the show really relatable, and all of our fans growing up have already gone to college and they've experienced that, or they're about to go to college. So we try to kind of be neck and neck with our fans in terms of what our characters are doing with their lives, but that kind of gets put on the back burner while we try to survive and protect our town and our friends and family. So yes, there is an element of that, but there's also an element of survival, if that makes sense.
And I know that the main villain is human this time, but I heard you talk about a psychological villain also coming in, because there's going to be a couple different villains. And you described it as a feeling. I'm wondering if you can talk about the psychological villain and exactly what that is and how that plays into the show, as opposed to the human hunter who is coming after you guys.
That's really cool. Yeah, no one's asked me about that yet. Yeah, we have a new villain on the show, and we've kind of toyed with the idea of just breaking somebody down mentally before through the eyes of a villain. But this time, you almost don't even see this villain. It just instills this sense of fear around you and around everybody, and it's just this paranoia that you can't shake, and it's this dreadful impending doom feeling, and it's almost like a panic attack, and you can't escape it. You don't know what the hell's happening, and it messes with your judgment. And that doesn't just happen to the supernaturals of Beacon Hills, it starts happening to the whole entire town. And crazy things start happening with that. When the normal people of the town start getting this crazy, unwarranted paranoia, they start acting out, and that's bad for us. So that's kind of all that I can say without teasing too much. But yeah, there's this new villain that kind of gets into your brain a little bit and messes with you, with like your worst fears ever. It's kind of creepy.
Well, and my last question in my last minute here, if you could say real quick, everybody's doing a revival nowadays of old shows, right. And I've talked to some people that are on new shows that are just now wrapping up, and it puts this idea that perhaps in a couple of years they'll have their own revival. Have you guys talked about that and sort of where you want to come back in maybe 4 years after the college experience? Out of the show? Yeah.
MTV has actually been talking about that a lot lately. I've always said since the very beginning of Teen Wolf that I think it'd be really cool to have a movie down the line, somewhere down the line. I love the idea of us coming back after college, seeing us older. But MTV is planning on, this is still talk, I don't know if this is true, but they're planning on maybe doing a reboot with different cast. They're also talking about doing a podcast with our storylines, but just keeping it going only through a podcast. So either way, I would love to be a part of any of those. So if MTV you're listening, please have me be a part of it any way I can. But yeah, so we're on the reboot train. We'll see. We're rebooting a reboot. Teen Wolf is already a reboot.
Okay, well, hey, thanks so much for coming on and chatting. It's fun to get to talk to you for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Thank you, man. Good questions.
I'll see you later. Bye.
See you, buddy.